Hello again, Contrary Fuchsia Time, Plant of the Week. I'm going to do part 2 of the hydrangea program that I said I would do. Now, unfortunately this is the only place that I can do it. I'm in Grange in Buttevant in County Cork, but while I'm here I'll just show you there's a little bit of history attached to this place. And it's a farm that I'm very familiar with. I've spent many happy days up here, but there's huge history. And this bridge that I'm just about walking over, it was built over a cutting that was built and cut out during the famine. Now if you can see it there on that side, that's coming from the Cork side, and this one here is coming from the Limerick side. And all that stone there, that was all cut out by hand by people during the famine, by predominantly men during the famine, because the women and the children were living in workhouses, and that was as good as it got. And all the stone that was cut out from there was taken and deposited. I'll just turn around the camera here now. It was taken down there. You can see that line of trees, actually, the train track is on top almost of that line of trees. That's all filled in with the stonework from this cutting. So it was done at a time, I've often said this, when life and labour was cheap. So that's where I am, and the weather is absolutely horrendous. It's actually the first chance I've had all day long to record anything, and I'm going to do hydrangea part 2. I'm Jim. This is the Contrary Fuchsia, and thanks for tuning in.
Cozy up with a hot drink.
Okay, so we'll go through these. The one hydrangea that everybody's most familiar with probably is Hydrangea macrophylla. Now there's varieties to that as well, but Hydrangea macrophylla is the one, and that's the one that we associate with being either pink or blue in colour. Its growing conditions, good soil, moist soil, and it'll tolerate a bit of light shade. Actually prefers light shade. Now this is the one that gives you blue or pink flowers. The blue and the pink simply depends on the acidity of the soil. The more acidic your soil is, the bluer your flowers will be. The more alkaline your soil is, the more pink the flowers will be. So if you want blue flowers, you can get blue and pink from the same plant, depending on the acidity of your soil. Now, do not confuse this though with sometimes leaves of plants will go yellow, and that's a problem also in plants that like acid soil. And if you plant them into a slightly alkaline soil, what happens is that they cannot draw iron up out of the soil, and their leaves become yellow. So in order to get over that, you need to use a sequestered food. Try and avoid that. Give them the right soil and they'll be fine. So Hydrangea macrophylla, pink or blue flowers depending on the acidity or the alkalinity of your soil. Arborescence is just a nod to trees, and because of that, it's the biggest of the hydrangeas. It's the most reliable. It flowers on new wood, and it's a bit more cold tolerant than the other hydrangeas, a bit more cold wind tolerant. Light shade to sun, it'll pretty much grow anywhere. It is the biggest of them. You know, arborescence, a tree, you'd imagine it to be big, but it is the most reliably flowering one. And it also produces the largest flowers by far. This is the one, if you have a bit more room than the others, and like rest of the hydrangeas, it'll flower in early to kind of midsummer, but will last for ages. We also have Hydrangea paniculata, and these are more cone-shaped flowers, a bit like Hydrangea arbor, or a bit like Hydrangea quercifolia, but they bloom on new wood, and they bloom that little bit later than the other hydrangeas, and it's much more sun tolerant. It also gives you a variety of flower colours, those paniculata, and it's different in the sense that the flower looks like a cone almost. Really lovely plant. Not as susceptible to alkalinity or acidity. In actual fact, it likes the soil to be slightly more acidic. So if it's not acidic enough, or if it's too alkaline, would be a better description, then your leaves may be going yellow. That's a problem. As I said earlier on, that may be a problem that your plant can't draw up enough iron. And because of that, they don't produce chlorophyll. And because of that, you get yellow leaves. Sequestered food again, or top dress it with an acid dressing in the autumn. Hydrangea quercifolia. Look, I did a program on this. I'm not going to go back into this one now, but there is a little 5-minute slot on Hydrangea quercifolia. Have a look at that, and it'll give you all the information you need for it. But a beautiful plant, an all year round plant, gives you colour almost right throughout the season, or not colour necessarily, but interest right throughout the season, and is a bit more unusual. Again, it's not susceptible. The flower colour doesn't depend on the alkalinity or the acidity of the soil, so you don't need to worry about that in that respect, but does prefer the soil to be slightly more acidic for it to thrive. The climbing hydrangea, or one that's called Hydrangea petiolaris, it's not a climber as such. What it does is have kind of aerial roots, and if you plant it against the wall, it'll climb up against the wall, it'll push itself up against the wall. It'll also wrap itself a little bit around, if you had something like a trellis to climb up along it, it will do that quite easily. This one loves shade, much more so than any of the others. It actually thrives in shade, and you'd wonder sometimes when you see Hydrangea petiolaris growing, how in the hell it's going to grow in such shady conditions, but it does. And as I said, it actually thrives there. Late spring to early summer flowering, and it's definitely one, if you had a dark corner in your garden, you know, like maybe an alleyway or something, the start of an alleyway, to give you a bit of colour. You can train it over a trellis as well, if you had a trellis, or not a trellis, or a feature over an archway. You could easily train it over that. So maybe worth trying, but Hydrangea petiolaris, definitely one for the. And lastly, Hydrangea serrata. It is lacecap, the lacecap hydrangeas. These are my favourite. I absolutely love these. I just love the way the flower, it looks like it's a lacecap. You'll see a picture of it there now that I'll put up. And the colours does respond a little bit more to the alkalinity and acidity of the soil, but just buy a good variety, and you get years out of this plant. I love them. I think they look there's something unusual about them. You have an inference of flowers. They are all flowers, and then on the outside of that you have a row of beautiful flowers of different colours, mostly blues and pinks. Seems to be a trend for hydrangeas, but the lacecap Hydrangea serrata are my favourite. Hardy, they like a bit of light shade, and again they tolerate soil to be a bit more acidic than it is alkaline. Hydrangea serrata also blooms on old wood, and one big advantage, well, not necessarily for Ireland, if we look at the clouds now all over the bloody place, but they're a bit more heat tolerant. So warmer climates, you'll find it easier to grow them. Well, that's it for another episode of the Contrary Fuchsia. I hope you enjoyed that explanation briefly through the different types of hydrangeas. There's surely one there that you can grow. They're lovely plants. As I say, lacecap is by far my favourite, but quercifolia also is a wonderful versatile plant, and I love the idea that you can change the colours of the macrophylla by simply changing the acidity of the soil. It's amazing. Let me know if you have any hydrangea stories, photos, anything like that. Love to hear from you, and make sure you tune in to the next episode of the Contrary Fuchsia, on what I hope will be a better, less overcast day when we meet again. Take care. My name is Jim. I'll see you in the next episode.